Welcome, everybody, to another exciting episode of HomeKit Insider. You've got me, your host, as always, Andrew O'Hara, and this episode is brought to you by Notion Agent. More on that in a few. This week, joining me, I have my friend Eric from Modern Day Tech. Eric and I have been buddies for a while now. We've done all sorts of stuff. We see each other at, CES every year. So, Eric, thanks for hanging out today.
Thanks for having me. I truly appreciate it. Yeah, I
Yeah,
remember the first day I met you in the airport.
One of those awkward ones. Yeah, yep.
Yeah.
Everyone at CES is always an awkward introduction, especially because people will know, my face, or I'm sure they know your face sometimes, like the PR people, and then you're like, yeah, and you got to try to like awkwardly glance at their badge to know who you're talking to, because sometimes you don't see faces. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
You ever had like a random PR person come up and hug you? You have no clue who they are.
Oh, yeah. And then you can't see the badge because you're mid-hug and you're like, hey, you.
Yeah.
Yep. Been there. So why don't you give us a little high-level introduction about you, and then we're going to do the usual, get into the news, talk about a bunch of stuff. But for anyone who's interested, about you and what do you do, give us the, high-level view here.
Yeah, so I've been doing YouTube since 2013. Used to be a prepper channel. Oh, Andrew, I don't even know if you knew that.
I did not.
That was like after Hurricane Sandy, and then I kind of became like the Bluetooth tracker guy. Like after I reviewed Tile, every other company reached out to me, and it became tracker. And I got bored with that, and I was always dabbling or putting my foot in the water for like smart home stuff. So I kind of pivoted the channel again into smart home, and it's always been like my main platform has been Apple Home. But I do dabble in some Alexa. My second platform is actually Homey now. So, and these days I'm pretty much reviewing mostly smart home, like more like vacuum cleaners, pool cleaners, a little bit higher end. They're things that really interest me on the main channel. And then anything that's on Amazon, I have a secondary channel called Modern Day Reviews, and I can review a bottle of water one day, or pretty much any fun product that I'm interested in.
Nice. Well, good. We can have some random conversation on the stuff that I definitely don't review as frequently as I'm sure you're getting into. Aside from having you here, we have quite a few other guests coming up on the podcast, which I am very excited for. So for everybody to look forward to, we're going to have, I believe, Garrett Lovejoy, who's from Yale, going to talk about, smart locks, connected home things. Kevin Robinson, CEO of Wi-Fi Alliance, he's going to be joining in the coming weeks to talk about the new, Wi-Fi 8 and the smart home push that kind of Wi-Fi is having at the moment, especially with like Matter integrations and stuff. So that's cool. A few others, we're going to be talking a lot about shortcuts. So if anyone has questions on like shortcut and automations, throw those over. Couple others as well, but we'll keep everything a little more under wraps until I can actually make sure we get dates set for everybody, because stuff keeps shifting. But for now, Eric, thank you again for joining. Let's go ahead and, well, this isn't really news, but I don't know if you've had similar experiences. This just happened to me yesterday and consumed like hours on the phone. Have you ever had to install smart home tech for someone, but all just over the phone?
Yeah, I mean, I have buddies that call me up and they want me to walk them through, and a lot of times I'll just like, if they live close, I'll just be fine. I'm just coming over. I actually happened this past weekend. It wasn't smart home, but they had electrical problems, which they were installing a light, and I'm like, I can't walk you through electrical on the phone. Like, I gotta come over, and luckily they're two streets over, and I just went over.
Well, this is my, my grandma has, she's been having some health issues and stuff. So they had cameras over at her house, and I put in like 2 Aqara G100s, and they wanted to put a few more, and they wanted to be able to use them for like the AI fall detection and things like that. It's just as backup, because sometimes she'll like not wear her Apple Watch, and then she's, if she falls, she doesn't have her watch on for like that fall detection. So like, the Aqara cameras do have the AI fall detection built in, which is really handy. And there's also, of course, like 2-way audio, so my aunts or my dad could talk to her through the speakers and stuff and make sure she's okay and whatever else is going on, blah blah blah. And I'd put these first two cameras in. I swear, I was done in 15 minutes doing two of those Akara cameras, adding them to the Akara app as well as into Apple Home. And sometimes we take that stuff for granted and we just like breeze through it. But my aunt calls me and she's like, "Hey, can I install these extra cameras that you have sitting on the counter?" I'm like, "Yeah." She's like, "Can you walk me through it?" And I'm like, "Sure." In my head, like this is like literally scanning two codes and we're in and out in 10 minutes again here.
Right.
It was like an hour and a half at least. And
Wow.
somehow she's like, "Well, she doesn't need access on her stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and remove her account from here, but I'm going to add me as a user on my phone." And then it was missing essentially an admin account, and somehow she had signed in without creating an account. Like it's, I don't even know, but everything was all sorts of messed up and it was so complicated. And again, it's like something that we take for granted of like, oh yeah, we'll be done with that in like 5 minutes. And here was someone
Mm.
who doesn't install a lot of smart home things, and it was such a struggle. And it was, I don't know, some of those times you have to like kind of step back and it's like, you think something is really easy. You think of how these companies are trying to plan for them for, just average normal users to install and stuff. And yet there's still hurdles in actually getting things installed.
Yeah, definitely. It's you think it's so easy, but we've been doing it in and day out. And when do people do call me, I'm like, we gotta do like at least a FaceTime. I don't know if you tried that. Like, let me see what you're seeing because you're missing something. Because it should just be boom, 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 boom. But for whatever reason, it's not. I also
I
think some
know.
people have like this aura about them that when they're around tech, it just it doesn't work for them. And I've actually seen this in my previous job. I had actually my boss. He was typing something, trying to do something, and it would not work. And then when I came over, I would not touch the computer, but as he was doing it, it just worked. Like just my aura around the tech just made it work. So
There's an invisible
yeah,
field that just causes, yeah.
yes,
I've had that happen so many times with like, Faith, and she's like, "This is not working." And I'm like, "Okay, let me see." And she walks over and then it just works. And I'm like, "I don't know." She's like, "I'm not crazy. It wasn't working. I tried it 50 times." I'm like, I don't know. It just
yeah.
worked. I don't know. But yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah. You ever think about getting your grandma one of those help I've fallen
Oh
little
my God.
necklaces?
Help, I've fallen and I can't get up.
Mm,
I think there's honestly a big stigma around those
yeah.
in like, the older community. Like no one wants to have to wear those. So like she might as well be a traveling Apple Watch salesman because she's gotten so many of her friends just to get Apple Watches
Yeah.
for like fall detection, and it also caught her irregular heartbeat that also, potentially
Yeah.
saved her life. So
Yeah.
like there's a lot of like benefits with the Apple Watch versus those stigmatized buttons, but she sometimes just doesn't wear it, and that's the problem. Is
That's
like
the
what?
issue.
Yeah, there's just those random times, and of course, like a fall happens at the random time that she wasn't wearing it.
Yeah.
So we've
You
just
have
been
any
meaning on her.
FP2s like near like bathtub or shower or anything?
I do, but yes, we talked about the exact same thing of like, hey, if there's spots where she doesn't want, put camera, that's cool. We can still use like we're already paying for the Akara AI detection stuff. We can do the exact same thing with the FP2s. We can just mount it on the ceiling and it'll be able to send an alert if there's a fall detected in like, the bathroom or whatever. So, yes, we have talked about that, and they're still kind of trying to think through a plan of, what they want to do.
Yeah. Maybe a combination of things.
Yeah, exactly. I think they might end up doing like an actual like, camera in the bedroom that faces into the hallway of the bathroom. Maybe they don't worry as much of like in the shower or anything, but I don't know. I told them to come up with like their plan of what they want, and then I'll give them guidance based off of that and the coverage they need and things like that. So we'll have to see, but either way, she's outfitted with several G100s at the moment. And I do like that they have like the local recordings, the cloud recordings, the AI stuff, like, and they're
Yeah.
so, cheap compared to some of the other ones out there.
Yeah. definitely. For my father-in-law, I will only install Lutron stuff. It's just got to be 100% reliable, and I just can't. He can't deal with it, and if he can't deal with it, it just makes my life miserable. So
Well, I mean, when it comes to switches and shades, like those
yeah,
are other ones are not bad, and I generally don't have issues, but the Lutron stuff is just crazy good. I mean, I
yeah,
can't even tell you the last time I changed the
inexpensive.
batteries on our 8 foot wide shades in our front window. Like, they're all
Or in
runs
the
on
Pico
batteries. How
remotes.
often you got to change that? Yeah,
Have
exactly.
you
Oh
met
God,
anyone that has
never.
changed a battery in Pico remote?
No, never. I'm pretty sure those last a lifetime. Like,
Yeah, they say 10 years, but I don't know anyone who's changed one.
nope, nope, never. But yeah, the Pico remotes are great, and they're so reliable. Like every single time they work, they respond, they're fantastic. I mean,
They
because
are.
I like the Eve motion blinds and stuff. Like they work really well. Thread is great. Thread's reliable, but the battery life is going to be, measured in months, not years.
Yep.
Random topic before we get into our actual first news item. We talked about this like last summer, I think, right? The last when we were hanging out, we talked about the Akara door lock, right? And you said you were going through batteries on it. The fingerprint home key one that's in for interior doors or lever doors.
Oh, the 300, the U300.
Yeah, I think it's a 300.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I still have not changed batteries on that thing since
That's
we
so
had
weird.
talked about it.
Yeah.
So that's
So it's
been
weird.
almost a year.
That's weird because I have two of them. One in my office here, and one in my wife's. And my wife's is like every 3 months. And
Still?
yeah,
That is
yeah,
insane, dude. Like, I mean, I told you like I hadn't changed that thing since I put it on, and now here we are, almost a year later, and
yeah.
I still have not changed the batteries on it. And it's on our
Yeah.
bedroom
Well,
door. We use it several times every single day.
yeah. I don't know what it is because I mean the M3 hub is super close too. It's like it's the closest one. So I mean
Is it
I
because
don't
you're
know
going
what.
through a hub versus like I don't even know what mine's going through if it's just thread or whatever by itself because it doesn't need a
Yeah, I'm not
hub.
sure. I don't remember how I have it hooked up. Um,
Okay.
it might not be. So I just don't recall.
Yeah, maybe it's
Because
something to
she
do with
was
like
a
your thread network or
could
something
be.
if it's on thread. I
Yeah,
don't know. I don't actually don't know how that one connects, but
yeah.
I mean I use
I
it
have to
with
look into it.
home key and fingerprint. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I was just curious that I remember that when we had talked and I was going to ask you at CES and then I spaced because CES and I was getting to our room today. I was like, oh yeah, I gotta talk to Eric. I wonder
Yeah.
if that lock is still doing that nonsense to him. And yet,
Yeah.
yeah, here I am, still have not changed the
Yeah.
batteries on that
Uh,
thing, which is great.
yeah. I'll look into how I set it up. I just don't remember. And it was
Yeah,
actually
I
a
mean,
second one. So whatever
yeah,
was
I'm
the
curious if it's
quickest and
like,
easiest.
yeah, I'm wondering if it's how it's connecting or that network, whatever that is, whether it's through a hub or on its
Yeah.
own. But yeah, that's
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah. I'll let you know.
Okay, well, let's get into actual news. So we have a battle of the analyst slash journalist this week. So Wayne Ma over at The Information says that Apple is working on its tabletop smart home hub, and Ma is saying that it will come with an optional rotating swivel base, right, as one of the mounting options essentially. No sooner did this article come out and then all of the Apple sites, reported on it, Gurman was on Twitter commenting back to those articles saying, no, this is not happening. This is instead that tabletop version that will be a follow up to the one launching this spring and will instead be coming in 2027. So it sounds like there's a showdown here. Ma says it's coming out this year. Gurman says hard no, that's coming in 2027 as a second replacement device. So I don't know, who's more credible here. I mean, Gurman has historically been very, very reliable with stuff, but Wayne Ma is also a pretty good track record as well. So I don't know how this is going to shake out.
Yeah. I don't really care how it shakes out. I just want a home hub. Like I'm not big into like a home hub for like smart home stuff, but I just want to stay in the Apple ecosystem, and I'm jealous of all the Alexas. Sorry if I triggered anyone's and the Googles. I have both of those screens back there. I'm just jealous that Apple doesn't have one of these yet. So anything we can get, I'm super excited about. But as far as like Apple Home related, I'm not big into having a screen, especially where it's open freely. Apple definitely has to be able to customize that, like like a Brilliant, something just to be able, to limit what's on there. But just getting one, I'm being a smart home geek. I'm definitely down no matter what. I'll be a day one purchaser, and
It seemed like we're literally getting third party ones before Apple is shipping anything, because now
yeah,
we have like Hunter fans introducing wall panels. We've had Brilliant for a while. The Akara S1 that is available in Europe and is soon to be launching, at some point, hopefully, in the US. And like the Akara one even builds in Apple's own assistant into it. And they all run, or at least to varying degrees. They can either control many other smart home devices that you have, or they can act as those Matter controllers to control anything else that you have. So like they're doing a subset of what Apple's would do before Apple is getting one out. And that doesn't even count the real competition from Amazon and Google on their own smart home hub displays. So yeah, I want this really, really bad. I think the swivel is nice, but it depends on just use cases. Because if you have that like on your countertop island, like the way ours is set up, we've got like a bar there, so it's most time it's going to face into the kitchen. But if we're in the living room, it'd be nice if it was facing the other way, so we could still see who is at the door or whatever happened to be popping up. Because it's facing into the kitchen and we're in the other room, it doesn't really help. So, I mean, maybe you just have to find a spot where it's facing things correctly. But I always believed that this was a pretty minor thing. Like Apple already has all of this tech done as part of the tracking kit that they built for like the Belkin one that was actually recalled, but the Belkin one that's out there. So they already have the tracking to follow you room to room or rotate around. It doesn't have to be like up in the air and everything, but it can literally swivel and go up and down. So I assumed that this would be part of this year's model and not the really fancy one for next year. So I don't know. It would just be nice to be able to have it kind of swivel in some way and not have to move it yourself.
now when you say swivel, you're thinking like, it has to be motorized, like whatever you can just manually turn it.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, like if we're sitting in the living room
Yeah.
and someone like approaches the door or the security camera in the back detects motion and pops up, if it was facing the kitchen because we were using it for a recipe, now I can't see it. So it'd be nice if like it knew we were in the living room and was able to
Right.
rotate around on its own and face the room that we're in. Let alone for taking FaceTime calls, which I don't do super frequently. But that way you're able to move and it's able to track you around between the center stage camera and a swivel base on it. So it seemed like it made sense to me, but that also just may be too much. But I mean, Belkin had that one out, and it's also integrated into gimbals from like Insta360,
Yeah.
that same
Uh,
tracking
bo-
technology.
Both those. Yeah, that tracking stuff is pretty cool.
Yeah, and they even added new features to it with iOS 26 that allowed you to add it to Control Center and customize it more. So I don't know. I don't know which one of these is actually correct, but I guess we'll see.
Either
Hopefully sooner
way,
rather than later.
yeah.
Yeah.
Either way, I just want it. I've been hearing about this for years, and you know.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
Yeah. But before that, I still think Apple has a lot of work to do with the Apple Home app itself, and Siri and everything else. And so, you know, do I want better Apple Home or Apple Home Hub? Mm, you know,
I don't know. I've been saying the same stuff for I literally feel like years now. So I've literally had people say, "Oh, you're covering the same thing on the Home Hub situation." It's like a little bit because yeah, it hasn't really
yeah,
changed. But I do think that this is going to have a lot of functionality. Like you're going to have the FaceTime stuff. You're going to have like a status board situation there, home the home view of everything, camera feeds, all of that going through there. I think it's going to be really cool.
yeah. I'm excited.
Here at Apple Insider, I do a bunch of things, right? I'm doing the podcast, I'm doing short form, long form video, I'm doing reviews, occasional news stuff, I'm doing like our photography. It ends up being a lot. And there are times that I wish I had a teammate that was like here in the studio that would help me with things. Well, I don't quite have that, but thanks to Notion, I feel like I kind of do. Notion brings everything into one place. It brings your notes, documents, project flow, all into one connected space that just works. It's very flexible, powerful, and actually fun to use. With AI built right in, you spend less time switching between tools and more time creating great work. And now with Notion Agent, your AI doesn't just help with work, it finishes it. Right? For me, like doing a video, like if I'm coming up with a video that I want to publish on YouTube, it's just not like a thing that just happens, right? First, there's a whole bunch of like idea generated, and then there's other people who want to like chime in and comment, and we talk about the different ideas that we're going to produce. And then I get into script writing and scheduling, and all of these things have to be tracked. So I know like, okay, what is currently in production? When are things going to go live? And even with every video that I do, there's a whole list of things that have to be done besides like, scheduling it, scripting it. Thumbnails need to be generated, descriptions need to be generated, tags, are there affiliate things, are there sponsors, all this stuff. And many things aren't even all like me, right? That what's great about having Notion and Notion AI is that Notion AI can automatically like assign tasks to other people. So that way they can start doing things and pulling them in. It can help the craft like AI powered descriptions and SEO stuff for YouTube and give me like a whole pile of different, thumbnail suggestions that I could go ahead and design or different title ideas that I could try out based on the scripts that I wrote. Like there's so many things that it can do that it just pulls it into this workflow and does half this heavy lifting for me and helps me track everything throughout the entire process. Literally, just like a single prompt into Notion Agent, it can form a plan, execute it. It'll even try it, reassess, and try again if it hits problems in there. It can go ahead and like search the web for things, can look at your different workspaces, it can check into things like Slack and Google Drive to bring all of this stuff from your workflow into one location, right? Like I'm doing stuff inside of Google Drive for like my scripting and things. We're using Slack for communication. The ability to bring all of this together into one platform and do it efficiently, that it really feels like having an actual extra teammate helping get stuff done, is amazing. Try Notion now with Notion Agent at notion.com/HomeKit. That's all lowercase letters, notion.com/HomeKit to try your new AI teammate Notion Agent today. And when you use my link, you're supporting the show. Notion.com/HomeKit. We have news out of Sony, which is kind of bittersweet. Sony is leaving the TV space, essentially. Sony is partnering with TCL to form a new partnership where TCL will be taking the majority stake in this new effort and minimizing Sony and kind of taking over the Bravia brand and continuing to produce kind of Sony Bravia televisions. But the Sony TVs have long been some of my favorite ones. Like they were quick to support, Apple Home. They supported Dolby Vision and things like that. I've loved Sony TVs. I like Sony and I like Samsung, but I would always rag on Samsung because they wanted to like do the cheaper things of like supporting their own HDR tech instead of Dolby Vision, and they really didn't want to do OLED for the longest time. Whereas Sony has been like, no, we're slightly more premium with stuff. We're gonna do Dolby Vision, and we're gonna do it well. We're gonna do good sound. We're gonna take Apple Home and bake it in. So I'm a little bummed to see like Sony kind of exiting in a way.
Yeah. I always remember when I was a teenager, like I would be like Circuit City or I don't even know if Best Buy was around when I was a teenager, but like Sony, they always had the wall TVs, and Sony was always like the brightest, the best picture, but they were also the most expensive. And so we never bought a Sony. I don't think I have anything Sony in my house right now. Um,
Which
so
ones do you have?
hopefully, huh?
What do you have?
What do you say? TVs are sharps. So
Okay.
sharps, yeah. I think they're all sharps. Um, so I just hope like TCL to me is more of a more affordable brand. So hopefully we get the great stuff from Sony, like you mentioned, but at a cheaper price. So
Possibly. I mean, we'll see as the reviews start to come out of like the new co-branded sets and see if they,
yeah,
if they have a lower price tag but keep the Sony quality. I mean, that would be great. But I feel like acquisitions and kind of combinations never really work that way. It's
yeah,
always being the opposite side of it,
yeah,
of things just get cheaper with a, cheaper quality, same price than somebody
yeah,
else making it. So we'll
yeah.
see how that happens.
I'm sure Samsung and LG are not happy, but that's business.
Yeah, I mean, maybe they are to a degree if they can consolidate in the space and take out a major player, essentially. Especially if the quality goes down and they're able to take over more of the premium market share.
Premium.
But like my biggest thing with the Sony's is their operating system is fantastic. Like sometimes the Samsung one, like it's good in a lot of ways, but they start cramming so much of their own stuff into it, it gets in the way. So I have a Sony or a Samsung TV in the studio right now, and I don't understand what happens, but I wake up my Apple TV, and all of the sudden the TV just starts playing like Samsung channels. Like it literally performed some update, and now upon the Apple TV waking, the Apple TV will send like that information to wake up the TV through eARC, but it doesn't tell the TV to switch to like that input right away. The TV wakes up and starts playing Samsung's own free TV content. And I'm like, what do
Hmm.
you go back? And I have to like hit buttons on the Apple TV remote to get it to realize that the Apple TV is there. And then all of a sudden it switches inputs and I can choose my profile and continue. But sometimes that doesn't work and I have to turn off the Apple TV and then wake it up again. And that wake will trick the TV to switching over to the input. It's like they've done some weird stuff like that with the Samsungs. But Sony software has been amazing. And LG is based off of WebOS, which is good, but I've had several instances of my LG TVs like bricking up, lagging, and things like that that are just like, yeah, I can't have a TV lagging. Like
Yeah.
it's such a pain in the butt and it just looks awful. So like WebOS, as much as I loved it on mobile, I'm not 100% still sold that that is the best TV interface. It's gotten better, but from when I stopped buying LG TVs because it was so unreliable using WebOS.
Yeah. Never had an LG. I think I've had one Samsung over the years, and it was a pretty good TV. So
I got the LG one because it was very affordable, had Dolby Vision, and had Apple Home support. So like it checked a lot of boxes for
did that work well? I heard the
what?
Apple Home support for LG didn't work well.
Again, you're talking about problems with WebOS. But I it works pretty well because I have that outdoor TV that
Yeah.
is not made by LG, but I mean, maybe it's made by LG, but it runs WebOS and everything, and we get a partnership with that brand, and I'm able to control it. Like I can turn it on and off with my voice. So like when we're cleaning up outside and taking the kids inside, I can just tell the HomePod as I walk inside, "Hey, turn off the outside TV," and it shuts it down. So that's really cool. It is a new year, and I promise you, it is a good time to actually start a new habit. And what's beneficial here is this is something that I started myself back in 2025, and I have stuck with it, and I really believe in it. So now it's a good time for me to like pitch it to you as something that you should also undertake. And we're talking about getting your finances under control. I will admit, I I need a budget or something. Like just I just want some visibility into my money and our finances. And I have tried like literally everything. I've tried so many different apps from the App Store, Mac and iPhone and iPad and all these things. And I used to use Mint, which was actually very good, but that's gone now. And I've kind of just not had success in sticking with anything. And literally several months back now, my wife and I were talking. We're like, we need to have a good idea where like what is being spent, what stuff do we have on like reoccurring, because ones like iTunes, I may not like be super visible because there's like a lot of iTunes purchases coming in, all this kind of stuff. And, long story short, I guess, I ended up finding Copilot Money. And the reason I found it is because it was around, it was probably right around the launch of iOS 26. And Copilot Money is something that I had seen several times popping up every time there's a new software update, because they are super quick in coming out with new versions of their apps that take advantage of all of Apple's latest stuff. I'm like, I love those kinds of apps, right? That are just like super fast. It's like, hey, there's a new version of iOS. Look, we have an all new design that takes advantage of liquid glass and looks really pretty and can do all of these fun, neat things, taking advantage of a whole lot of native features. And that just really piqued my interest with Copilot Money. So I'm like, I'm gonna try this out. And next thing I know, I'm in love with it. This app is available on iOS, Mac, and iPad, all natively, and as of the end of 2025, it's also now available on the web. So you can literally access Copilot Money from any platform that you are on. Now, what does Copilot Money actually do? Like, why is this actually useful? Well, this can tie into all of your accounts and will seamlessly sync across all of your devices. Super secure, super private, all the best stuff that you want to see. It is one subscription that gives you access across all of those different platforms. It keeps track of everything. So you can actually see your accounts going in and out. It can automatically categorize your spending for you, and it will identify renewal like subscriptions and things like that. It's reoccurring. That's the word I was trying to think of. But it'll identify all of those for you. So it can tell you how many you have, how much you're spending, and then what categories those are all going into. Like, it literally does so much of this stuff for you, including using the AI to, break stuff in to those different spending categories. It's so handy. So I basically just kind of sign into this, and it even works with Apple Card, which is very rare. So it'll pull up all my account information, all my different cards, tells me where I'm spending stuff, what categories I'm spending it on, how much I've got coming in, and how much I've got going out. Like, literally what I need to know. And you can start to get fancy, and you can start to actually create budgets and goals and all this stuff. But even at a minimum, it's just amazing to have all this data and see where your money is going. And I love they have this new web experience that just looks just as beautiful as all of their apps. And if you don't believe me as an actual user of this, they have over 21,000 5-star reviews on the App Store, and they have been continuously featured by Apple, Editor's Choice Award, Apple Design Award finalists, like all of these things. So we're going into a new year, right? We're a month or so into 2026. It is the time to try it out for yourself. I promise you are going to love it. So here's what you can do. Follow the link down below in the description. We'll make it really easy for you. You can get 2 months free with code HomeKit, all uppercase HomeKit. Start the new year with clarity. Your money beautifully organized, now across every device. Well, I have not seen this before. I do not have any, Mortise doors. This is a new device, new smart lock from a brand I haven't even heard of. I don't know if you've heard of this brand. It's called SmartSetup, but it's a matter over thread Mortise style lock. Have you seen or heard of this brand before? I mean, you deal with some of the
I have not.
random brands.
So,
No?
yeah, I've never heard of this brand. I checked it out, and I have never heard of it. I mean, I've seen plenty of Mortise, or I call it Mortise lock, but Mortise locks. I've seen plenty of them. I don't have any either. I mean, they're primarily Asian countries, maybe some in the EU, maybe.
Yeah.
But North America, we just have what do they even call that? Barrel or something?
Deadbolt? I don't know.
Deadbolt.
Yeah, I guess.
But I mean, I've seen these types of locks over the years, and I'm always jealous because I feel like they've always had. I mean, it's a huge lock. It's very narrow, but so much space that you can pack in cameras, screens. I've always seen like the good stuff first in these Mortise locks or Mortise locks, and I'm like, where does this stuff come into the North American market? And I'm glad we have some stuff now, but this brand I've never heard of. But it's amazing how many brands are now supporting Matter, and it's just these brands are popping up from nowhere, and I don't know where they come from.
No idea. I mean, it looks really sleek. Like, it looks like it's all metal looking. They say it has a zinc alloy chassis that's got IP65, weather resistance, On the outside, there is a camera at the top that is used for like facial recognition, so you can use that for entry. There's the key code, so you can enter that. There's also a fingerprint reader, so you can use that. And the bottom has the keyhole or the emergency USB-C power supply. And then on the inside, it is basically just as tall, tall and narrow like those European and Asian locks are. And you have a screen at the top that'll show you like who is at the door. So it's basically like a digital, pinhole or peephole to see who is there before unlocking it for them. But it looks really cool. I mean, it's Matter over Thread, so you're going to have native home support, native Apple Home support there, as well as using all of those other options. It also has NFC support, but no home key, I believe. So, no
Ultra advanced.
UWB, no home key. Yeah, none of that kind of stuff. Oh, it also has palm recognition, so throw that in there too. So tons of
I'm
options.
not. I'm not a team of palm recognition. I can say it
No.
right now. I've tried a couple. I'm sorry. I'm either team UWB or team facial recognition. Palm. I don't think it's gonna make it, but
It's an interesting option, but I do not understand the proponents of palm recognition. Like when I'm walking up to a door, if I have like my phone in my hand, a kid in my hand,
put your
groceries,
finger up.
yeah. I mean, I don't see how moving any of that to scan a palm versus just home key, like literally just
Right.
tapping your
Exactly.
watch. That seems so much easier. I don't understand the palm is why that needs to exist, and then they're starting to jam it into everything like this lock. But then you get these inflated price tags. I mean, this thing is priced at $349, which isn't terrible for the amount of tech that's in here,
Right.
but you probably don't need some of that stuff like palm vein recognition.
Yeah. It looks pretty cool to me. I think a car has a few mortise locks over the years. I've seen that. I've been jealous of. You know.
Of course, of course.
Yeah. Good stuff.
I'm just having a coughing fit because my voice is still gone from CES. But speaking of things of throwing fits, I don't know if you saw over the past week, there was that big problem with Google Home where smart lights just stopped working. They were showing in the Google Home app as offline, even though cameras and other device types were still like operating, but light switches and stuff were just showing offline. And Google acknowledged it, said they were working on a fix, but what a really random, bug to be throwing up in the smart home.
Yeah. It's weird when this stuff happens, and it sucks, but it's bound to happen. And I remember when Eufy had their security issues, and
Hmm.
Amazon had their issues. So it's bound to happen. Just it's not if, it's a matter of when. And,
From my
hopefully,
understanding, you've got
done.
the other platforms, so maybe you can know a little bit better than I can. But from my understanding, so first up, a lot of Google Home stuff is still cloud reliant. Like they literally, you send a command, it has to go through the cloud before getting back to the device to control them, versus everything in Apple Home that is
Is
straight
local.
local. But on top of that, like Matter stuff may be native or local, sorry, in the home to the hub, but when you are controlling it, all the automations and everything still relies on the cloud. So you still have the same issues through Google Home, whether it's Matter or Google Home devices, of relying on the cloud. I don't even know if Google is moving more towards local, but these are the exact problems when those are relying on cloud servers to operate light switches.
Yeah, I'm actually not sure. I'm not that big of a Google person. I have whatever it's called, Screen Max or whatever it's called,
Yeah.
and I dabble with it every now and then. But otherwise, I really don't even bring stuff in there into that anymore. Um, I try to keep Apple Home a homie and keep it local as much as I can.
I started
Uh,
adding stuff to the Google One just to test like the Matter cross-platform stuff, which has gotten
yeah,
a lot better. But then I started adding them because I just liked having the display. to control things. It was just a really nice little dashboard to control things. It looked pretty and everything. So I'm like, I'm cool with this. And then once the rumors really started heating up that Apple was going to be dropping this smart home hub display situation, I was like, yeah, it's not worth it anymore. I give up. So I've really
You unplugged
stopped.
it.
Basically, it's sitting out, probably just around this desk somewhere on the floor off camera. But I love the device. Like they were cool devices, for smart home hubs. But
Yeah.
yeah, just really shows again that we've talked about so many times on the show, like the importance of local controls, whether they are switches like that you can actually press with your fingers, or it's local smart home control and not relying on cloud servers. Like I'm trying to get a whole home power backup thing in the house here, and part of the thing is like, okay, say the power goes out, is the smart home going to be gone if I still have smart home power, but or power at the home? But no, with Apple Home stuff, everything should literally continue to operate as normal because everything is like the Wi-Fi is still going, the house is still connected to power, even without internet necessarily coming in. Everything should still work basically as normal. There might be some commands that throw issues, but everything should just continue to work.
Yeah, it's got to be a local. I have a, I don't have, it's not a whole house generator, but I have a plug-in generator that I backfeed into my house. And, even when that's on, it's not that often. It still works. So,
True. Well, I'm with this whole weather situation that, by the time everyone's listening to this, it'll have already
yeah,
happened. But I'm
that's
definitely
true.
plugging in power stations and getting battery packs charged up for this weekend. I'm
I
not running to
didn't
the
even think
store to
about
buy
that.
bread, but oh, there you go. We're gonna hang up
I
this
need the battery
podcast and go
packs.
charge everything.
Yes, for my daughter, I need her. She should have to be able to get to the internet somehow. So,
Well, here, speaking of internet, can we
over
just
5G.
say how terrible? I had a whole transition planned, but now I want to rant for 30 seconds again. I hate internet companies. Like, they're so bad. And they jacked up our internet to like $230 a month for gigabit internet, which is still
That's
only
just
like
internet.
30 up because, yeah,
Wow. I think
yeah.
I'm under 300, but it's bundled in with my cable for
No, yeah,
for
none of
and
that.
I have HBO, Showtime, Max, and it's under 300 bucks, and I have a gig.
Well, I called them and did the
Wow.
usual threaten to cancel,
Yeah.
and they're like, okay, well, let me see if I can get you a better deal. And they're like, okay, would you stay if we made it $100? I'm like, this seems so exploitative. Like, it doesn't seem like it should be fair, honestly. Like, it doesn't seem like it should be legal for them to jack up your price to $250, and then all you do is threaten them, and then they're like, fine, we'll make it
Yeah.
less than half. Like, why is that
That's crazy.
how
They're
cable
just wasting your
companies and
time.
internet companies work?
Yeah.
Exactly. It's so terrible. Anyway, going back to my lovely transition that I had, we were talking about the storm, and one of the things that I want to do before the storm too is make sure I swap out all the batteries in my Netatmo weather station stuff because I want to see like what the wind and stuff like that is going to be like tracking through here because we get some really gnarly winds. And funny
How
enough,
much
there was news
accumulation
that
you're supposed to get?
dude, I don't
You
I
know.
don't know. They say like
Yeah.
over 8 inches of accumulation by Sunday,
Yeah.
but
I
that doesn't
checked
seem like
the
terrible in
I
Ohio
checked
like
my
it's in
weather
Oklahoma.
app. It said 20 to 24 inches in DC. So,
That seems on the high side,
yes.
but I
I
think
mean,
I've
I'm
literally
excited.
seen.
All right. I don't know if you have one, but I have a Yarbo. I've never used it for a snowblower. So I am super excited just to have it out there and make all my neighbors jealous.
You're gonna be sitting on your
So
porch like a little child waiting,
yes,
like, come
just
on,
have my
snow,
drink.
happen. Yeah, just pour some whiskey and sit there hoping for snowfall so that you can use your, you know, grown up toys of
Yes.
snow blowers.
I am worried though. Part of my driveway is kind of it doesn't have a pothole, but it's kind of deviated or like a
Hmm.
divot just from the cars going back and forth on it. I'm worried about it like getting caught on one of those little divots. So, and I
How
know
does
they
it
have like
work?
share pins, but
Okay.
I don't want to be replacing those
Yeah.
mid-storm.
How does it work with like gravel? Like we have a gravel driveway.
That's a good question. I'm not sure. Mine is asphalt, so I would think. I mean, like a normal like snowplow service. Don't they have like screws at the bottom that kind of lift it up off the gravel a little bit?
I have zero idea.
What do you do now? You shovel?
We
Like,
have Jeeps.
gotcha.
It just
Four
drives
wheel,
through it, doesn't care.
4-wheel drive. Yep.
Yeah, literally, it just goes right through it. But I literally wonder that question all the time. Like, man, I feel like I should start, snow blowing or something right now or shoveling. But then it's like actively still snowing. So I'm like, I'll wait till it's done snowing because it would be dumb to do it beforehand. But then you end up driving and walking on it a whole bunch before you get to shovel it or snow blow it, and then it's all pushed down and packed, and then we just don't do anything.
Just go
You
over
just
it.
drive over it. Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, that's a big deal.
I really do love the excuse of a new year as a time to try to do something because it just feels like that kind of fresh start. And another thing, like we're going to try to get all of our finances into line, right? That's a thing that we're all going to be doing. The next thing that you should think about doing is you should launch that business that you have been thinking about. That brand, that idea, that product, that service. Try it. Like there has never been a better time to do it. 2026 is the year for you to launch your business. Transform yourself into that entrepreneur, founder, boss, take control of your life. And Shopify is like the tool to help you do that. What I love about it is like you can focus on your business stuff. Like anyone who's starting a business, they're not going to be like an expert webmaster with, an e-commerce degree or something like that. No, they're going to be a person who has an idea about an amazing service, product, idea, something like that, right? And then you need to get a website going. Shopify can have you a website in an afternoon and basically immediately start selling, whether it's that service, digital product, physical product, whatever it happens to be. And it can just do everything for you, put in a few things, you're good to go. As you start to get fancy, Shopify has like you covered with all the best bells and whistles. You can go ahead and use AI to automatically improve product shots and remove backgrounds. It can write descriptions and ad copy for your site. You can go ahead and start adding little plugins that help you improve, SEO and conversions and stuff like that. One of my favorite things that I see a lot was I was working with a business. They were having issues with a lot of packages not getting delivered, just like going through post over something, stuff like things getting lost or going overseas or whatever the problems happen to be. And people would write in like, my stuff's lost. They'd have to send out new stuff. Well, they added a plugin that offered insurance on their packages. So when customers were going through, they would opt into that. That would actually give the company an extra kickback for referring that insurance on that package. And then should something happen, that person was protected and it would cover the cost of the products and the company could send out new ones without any loss. It was amazing because like the customers were happy. Things were not, lost packages were no longer a problem. And then they made extra money by using that simple plugin that was literally installed in an afternoon. Like literally the idea was pitched and they had it installed in that afternoon. They were already using it. It was that amazing and fast to add that thing to Shopify. Once you get bigger, there's all sorts of cool things too, like your ability to have a physical retail location, run the POS and everything there, while also running an online store. You can do cool things like ship to store and in-store pickup, all those types of things, as well as manage inventory between those different locations. And then you get big, you get huge, build a custom site, do everything you want, hire Shopify devs that can get in there and build you an entire website that is perfectly from scratch. But anyone who is checking out at a Shopify site, whether it is a tiny little mom and pop store out of a garage or large companies like Rothy's, Allbirds, Brooklyn, and any of them, they're going to recognize that checkout process. And that is my favorite thing about Shopify is that checkout flow. It's one of the best converting checkouts out there, which is exactly what you want to hear as a business. And as a customer, it just feels safe. You recognize it. When you go there, it's like it automatically goes you through that shop pay flow if you've used that before. Like I literally click like checkout. Next thing I know, I have a text message with a code, which is then Apple is already like entering in there for me to authenticate me with like 2-factor authentication. And then it has my payment information. I can click like one button and check out on a brand new site. Like it's amazing. It's so easy and secure and safe. And it's great for the business because it's that easy for someone to complete a purchase. If you're not using Shop Pay, that is cool. You can just enter credit card information. There's Apple Pay, Google Pay, PayPal, all sorts of things like that they can also use. So it's very, very easy to complete that purchase. And when you're done, it kicks it over to the Shop app, where users can track their order as well as use like the AI-powered tool to find other neat businesses to buy from, leave reviews, earn rewards, and shop from other businesses. It's absolutely amazing. In 2026, stop waiting and start selling with Shopify. Sign up for your $1 per month trial and start selling today at shopify.com/HomeKit. Go to shopify.com/HomeKit. That's shopify.com/HomeKit. Hear your first this new year with Shopify by your side.
But it was funny that I was thinking about doing those weather stations because Netatmo actually released new products, which I was actually under the impression they had basically like closed up shop.
I haven't heard
They haven't had
from them in years.
exactly. They used to have a big CES presence, and I remember going into one of their suites, and they were showing off their doorbell and their smart lock and stuff at the time.
Their floodlight camera.
Mm-hmm, yep. And honestly, I love their products. They are always really well designed. They use a lot of like metal, and they focused on like their doorbell, especially when that was launching. They're like, no, you got options. You got local storage, like right on the thing itself. You've got cloud storage options. So many cool things that they did, and they were early with Apple Home support for their weather station that has
Not
a ton
HomeKit
of
Secure
integrations.
Video. I remember
No.
them
Yeah.
saying it was coming, then it took like 2 years or something. So
Yeah, they were never. That's the thing is like they had that big presence. They were doing so much, and then it's like ghost town. They're continuing to sell exactly what they've sold for years, with basically no updates or changes that I had ever seen. And then we're getting ready to record, and it's like, what is this? Netatmo just released 2-3 new products. Apparently, they're still alive, but I don't know how much of a good sign it is. They drop new products in the afternoon on a Friday.
I wonder how well they sell in the EU, because they're based out there, aren't they?
Yeah,
So
I think aren't they owned by Legrand or something like that?
yeah,
I think
sounds
so.
familiar. Yeah.
Yes, maybe they're just helping with other Legrand products and not focusing as much on the Netatmo brand. But yeah, apparently they're still existing. They released a new Thermostat Original and Smart Radiator Valve Original. That's the actual name in all caps for the original. And is their whole new like thermal line essentially. I believe these are going to be European devices, right? Not coming to the US at least at launch. The thermostat, really nice, clean design. Reminds me a little bit of the new Eve thermostat, right? That we talked about. Touch interface on the front. It's all white. So very simple, clean look. Can be either wireless or wired into your wall like a regular thermostat. So I think the idea would be you could use it like as a controller for a second thermostat or for the radiator valve. That was my understanding. Like you could put it tabletop and use it as a little smart display that would read the temperature in the room, and then you could control another device like the radiator valve, or you could just mount it to the wall and use it as a real thermostat to control your HVAC system. And then if you get the Thermo Hub, you get the remote control and everything through their app, as well as Matter support for Apple Home and everything like that. So, I mean, they all look good. The radiator valve, thermostat, they all look clean, simple, well-designed. Nothing crazy, nothing flashy. I mean, obviously no mention of like adaptive temperature support, but at least it has Matter and Apple Home.
Yeah, definitely. They look pretty good. I wonder if the little remote can be like used as a sensor, kind of like to communicate back to the original thermostat. Be able to
That's what
control it that
yeah,
way.
I wonder if it could be a room or a presence sensor type situation. I don't know. But I hope that I want them to come with more. I want them to have more stuff. I want them to have more products. I'd love to see a new weather station from them that was all Matter support, because as Apple is pushing more into Matter stuff, Matter supports a bunch of different sensors, right? That Netatmo could easily tap into, like wind, and rain. And Apple doesn't support those right now. And they literally show in the Home app as unsupported devices when you connect like an actual Netatmo weather station to your home.
Yeah. Like I said earlier, Apple has so much work to do, and
Ugh.
do you want the weather stuff or do you want a home hub?
I know they're working over there. They're working really hard on a lot of things. And what's always kind of surprising to me is to see, like, if you go to the GitHub repos, right, for Matter, you can actually see who is doing all of the work. And it's shocking, like, how much is being done directly by Apple. I mean, that was the thing that came out with the cameras is Jen Tui went to the repo and saw that it was Apple's own, engineers that had built so much of the camera framework for Matter. And yet Apple, as of now, doesn't support Matter cameras. So it's like, this stuff is working. Like, Apple isn't going to contribute all this free stuff into Matter without plans to support it in some capacity in their own ecosystem. But some of it just hasn't surfaced yet. And I'm going to hope until I'm proven wrong that Apple is trying to do all this work and then push it all at once as like a big smart home push with the Home Hub supporting newer versions of Matter with a bunch of new devices, and you can see it in a fancy new dashboard on this Home Hub device, and it's going to be great. And we're going to get all of
Do you think this is the year though?
I do. I think that's basically locked in at this point. I mean,
Okay.
I think everything has been tied to the new version of its, voice assistant. And I think that is, we've seen confirmation that is coming in 26.4. So with that launching in the spring, that I think was the missing piece to this smart home hub. It seems like we are there, and Apple's done the work on Matter. So we know that they can support all that stuff. We've heard confirmation of the new version of its assistant coming with that update. So that's right there. Everything seems like all the pieces are there, and Apple just needs to make it official.
Yeah. We'll see. Only time will tell. So
we'll see. Okay, let's get close to wrapping this up. But is there any other fun devices that you have tested recently that you want to talk about? Because I'm curious. I don't get to do as many reviews. Like, I do more on the podcast here than I do on YouTube.
You are definitely the hardest working man. You are definitely the hardest working man I know in this business.
Well, I appreciate it. But you get a lot of fun stuff that I don't have time to review or anything like that. Anything recent that you have got to play around with that's been good?
It's been good.
And I know I hate giving you that question because I've already gotten so many people like, oh, what was your favorite thing at CES? And I'm like, I think, I'm like, I don't know. It's a million things, and we've seen so much
We're
stuff.
so numb to it. Like,
exactly.
When we go to CES, it's like little upgrades, and this is cool, and that's cool. But, like, I remember my first CES, and I'm like, I could mention, like, 100 things that were super cool. And now I come back, like, I have to think about, like, actually, my go-to thing. I think were you there at I forget who makes it. Oh man, I forget what company. But once I tell you what it is, you'll know the company. So you're a brand name guy. You know them all is what I mean. I saw it at IFA. It was my best thing at IFA. And then I saw it again. It's still not released at CES. And I thought you were around me when you saw it. It's this charging. It's 3 chargers, but then it had 3 battery chargers on top. And then you can remove the batteries and move it, to a different area of the room. And so you pretty much had. I think it was Aki. Yeah.
Oh, the globes, the orbs.
The globes, yep. So you had a total of 6 Qi chargers. So to me, there's no wow factor there, but it's a very useful piece of tech. Having people in my home that use iPhones that need to be charged up all the time, and having something like that, to me, is a very useful piece that I'm definitely going to be picking up.
What did you think of? We spent some time talking to the folks at at BMX. So that's Better
Yeah.
Mobile Experience, and it's started by Barry and a few of the others from Hyper. They left Hyper. They started this new battery company. They're using right now. They're using semi-solid state batteries, eventually full solid state batteries, and they're doing a bunch of really cool things. And one of the things similar to like what you said, they have that docking station for
Yeah.
battery packs. So you can get like 5, I think, is the most, and then just slot them all in and charge them.
Yeah. I
And
was
then their next
impressed.
gen batteries are crazy.
Yeah. I was just so impressed how thin they were. I don't remember if they're 5,000 or 10,000. I think they were 10 being that thin, if I recall. And I was just amazed how thin it was. And then you had that docking station. And that's also something I'm going to need.
Yeah, they were the coolest one that I saw. So first, they're going to be coming out with titanium battery packs, which I think is going to look so great on like iPhone Air and stuff. Like it's going to be amazing. And those are still really, really thin. But the ones that I was so excited for that are a little bit further out, I think it was like 5.8 millimeters, I think was the thickness, and it was semi-solid state, so a lot safer than lithium ion. It had a tiny display to give you your battery percentage, had pogo pins so that you could drop
Wow.
it into the multi-charger to charge, 5 of them at once, and they were still like all metal except for, the back where the actual
Yeah.
wireless stuff
They
was.
just,
They looked crazy cool, and a kickstand was built in.
yeah. They just need Find My built into them.
Yeah. But they did have I did like that, like for the creators. Now, I mean, we're definitely getting far from smart home at this point, but they had the
Well, we're both
camera things.
Apple
Yeah,
Find My lovers, so
for sure. But they had what were they? The SSDs, the mobile SSDs that had Find My built in, which I thought was
haven't
really
seen
neat.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, they were really tiny, and you could get. I mean, one of them was like a holder. If you bought like 4 of them, and you could put. Apparently, their whole thing is you buy a lot of their product, and then you put it into something else. That must be
Yeah.
their brand philosophy. Buy a lot of it and then store it in something. But they had multiples of those, and the bigger ones had built-in Find My, which makes sense for a mobile SSD. And then the
Yeah.
smallest ones went into a case that had Find My built in. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, like you said, SSDs need them, batteries need them. I've only seen one battery that has it, and I don't know if it's certified or anything, but stuff
Yeah.
that you lose all the time, especially with kids. I mean, my daughter takes these batteries and they just disappear. I don't think your kids are old enough to experience that problem, but it's coming, but bro, it's coming.
Well, so like we've told the story before, but we Harrison has a phone because like for when he goes to places, I want to be able to track like where he is. We use like actual Find My on his phone, and we had been using Mobile X because service is really reliable, and for like we didn't worry about data because if he watched shows or anything, we can download that. So we used no data every month except for tracking his location. So we were paying like 450 a month
Hmm,
for phone, text, and a gig of data. Great deal.
It's not bad.
So when we fixed our internet here at the house, Spectrum's like, hey, we're also going to give you a year of Spectrum Mobile for free, unlimited phone talk text. So we're like, okay. I mean, we're paying $5 a month for his phone. Let's just do this for a year. It's free. Like we don't need it for our main phones because we're on like a business plan. So like let's just put the kids on it, and then we have a phone for him, and it'll have unlimited data, which will be handy. So we did that, and after I did everything, they were like, "Oh, by the way, if you ever, try to switch, you can't take the phone number with you. You have to leave you have to leave the phone number." I was like,
Huh.
"What?" So if you switch to Spectrum Mobile, apparently you can't have your phone number back if you ever leave.
That's not right. That's not right at all.
I don't know. It just seemed, I was like, are you kidding me? And she's like, no. I'm like, okay, good thing, he's a kid and
And
we don't care what his phone number is.
and it's just that's how they get it so cheap.
I don't know. Maybe that's just part of their way
Uh,
to like lock people in, right? Because then
uh,
you're less likely to leave. If you have to get a new phone number, you're like, well,
huh.
maybe service isn't great, but I can at least keep my phone number. I don't know. maybe she was wrong. Who knows?
Yeah. I just switched from T-Mobile to Verizon just this past right before CES, and I like you were mentioning earlier with you're switching. I was originally with Sprint, and then they got bought out by T-Mobile, and I was like, "Hey, Verizon has this deal. Can you match it? We've been with you for a long time," and they actually refused. So we're like, okay, fine. We're going to switch to Verizon. They gave us brand new phones, 17 Pros. Obviously, I can't do with the Pro. I had to get Pro Max, and the only one they had available was the orange 2 TB. So
I like it.
I splurged a little bit. No,
Nice. That's fantastic.
but I have a case on there now.
It still looks good. I still love the orange. I still really like it.
Yeah. So I'm rocking the blue case right now. So we'll see with the orange highlights. So what's
Nice.
that company? They have a little. It's a MagSafe finger
O-Snap?
thing. Oh snap! Thank you. They gave me one that matched this case perfectly, and I had to take it off on the plane because I had to charge up my phone. I remember I was using my airplane mount, so I couldn't use that with that for some reason. So I put it down and I left it on the plane. I'm pissed. Yeah.
I actually like the new version of O-Snap because they allow you to do it
Yeah.
without the adhesive on the back. So like those are
Yes.
really cool.
Yes, it was so easy taking off on the plane. I was just like, I'll just put it back on, and then
Oops.
yeah, I'll get another one.
Ah, that sounds perfect. Well, thank you, man, for hanging out today. This was a fairly interesting week of news. I mean, with Sony abandoning TVs, more smart home hub stuff, it's been great, catching up. Always nice to see you at CES and other random
Always.
stuff throughout the year. So appreciate
Thinking
you
about
stopping
IFA?
and hanging out. Just the same probably going to be the same problem as last year. I want to go and I can
that's right.
make my
Apple.
way there, but it's right by the Apple event and the iPhone launch, so it's like always hard to like justify it, especially if there was any like delays with anything and then missing like the biggest event from Apple of the year. So
That's right.
it's always
I don't
tough. So
blame
we'll
you.
have to see.
Yep.
Wow, we'll have to see how scheduling works out, but yeah, kind of general thought. Cool. Where can everyone go find you if they want to look up your videos?
Modern day tech, pretty much everywhere. So
Awesome. I'll put a link down below in the show notes. If you guys have any questions, if you guys have any suggestions on guests that you want to have on this show, as well as any questions on shortcuts and automations, throw those my way. You can reach me at any of the links in the show notes. You can find me on Twitter at Andrew_OSU. Send me an email at Andrew@appleinsider.com, or you can put it in the comments of the video version of this podcast over at youtube.com/HomeKit Insider. Otherwise, give the podcast a 5, 10, 100-star rating on your podcast player of choice. And I'll see you guys in next week's episode.